Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ultra Everything. This show is designed to inspire, motivate, and educate. And today, I've got the pleasure and honor of, I'm super excited about this interview, but today we've got an ultra runner, an entrepreneur, a real estate expert, father of 2 kids, a husband, absolute Ironman, and an absolute freaking badass who I've had an honor to go out and suffer with over a couple different places all over the country and actually all over the world. So it's been super awesome. So I'd like to welcome Brady McDonald. Brady, what's up, brother?
Awesome.
What's going
up,
on, man?
What's up?
How are you?
Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited about this. This is so funny because we chatted yesterday a little bit. We're like, oh, we got to get off the phone before we ruin it.
I know. I was just thinking the exact same thing. It was just, yeah. It's like, oh, we can't talk too long. We're gonna give out all the secrets and what's up and what's new. So I'm looking forward to catching up, dude.
There's been a lot that has happened since the last time we were together.
Yeah, I think the last time was in
we were in Scottsdale.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scottsdale.
Yeah.
We were running miles.
I was reminded by you yesterday because I actually had a headache yesterday, and I was just went back in time, and I was like, oh man, that was the last stuff. So we're gonna get into it.
I reminded you of the last time you were puking all over the side of the street.
Hey, you know what? But we did it. We finished it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Mindset. That's it. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for chucking out a little bit of time of your schedule. I've been super excited to talk to you about all the things that you've done because holy crap, dude. I can't even imagine. I can't even start to fathom the stuff that you've been up to in that short amount of time. It blows my mind what you've accomplished in, 45 days maybe, has it been? I don't even know how long it's been. It's been 45 days.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? It just, I don't know. When you surround yourself with, I ultimately feel like I've just surrounded myself with the right people, and it's what we all do. So when you compare yourself to other people doing a massive amount of making a lot of progress in any aspect of your life, it's normal. I think you're the same way, right? I can't imagine what you got done last 45 days.
Well, I want to do let our audience know who you are. So who is Brady McDonald? Who is Brady?
Yeah. So this guy is a Canadian. So I was actually I'm a Canadian real estate investor, developer. And so we lived in Barrie, Ontario, which is about an hour north of Toronto, up until about a year and a half ago. And we started, I'll just give you the Coles notes here real quick, and then we can dive back deeper. But, we did, 150 plus deals, a couple hundred deals now. And had a construction company, property management company, built a really big portfolio of rental properties, multifamily up there, and ended up doing a lot of new construction. And then we just wanted freedom and we wanted to scale. So, that is 2 things that aren't common in Canada. Because of just everything that's gone on with COVID and the taxes and everything. So we came to the US about a year and a half ago and started our business here. And man, it's been amazing. I mean, just it's been a challenging year, but the thing that's made it amazing is the people and just the knowing that there is no limit to the potential here. And so we're living in Cape Coral, Florida now, and I've you and I met at the Boardroom Mastermind. So, making a lot of connections here and just trying to push ourselves to the next level constantly. And not just in business, it's more up here for me.
Absolutely, man. And that's what I love about you. It's so funny because we started connecting, and it's so funny because I don't know if they can see this hat here, but this hat, that's how I actually realized that you were this ultra runner. So my background is midlife crisis, go into ultra running versus going out and buying a convertible and all that. I go into these big heavy things, and I saw that you wearing that hat one day and I was like, huh. And so just kind of awkwardness and just kind of meeting people. And I was like, holy shit, man, we got so much in common. So love it. And then we go out to the Bahamas and, hey, you want to meet up for a run, Tom? Well, I haven't been running in a while. All right, well, let's go. Oh man, yeah. It was just the suffering. So it was pretty awesome. So
yeah, and I think, that was a really good reminder. I mean, I think about that all the time because Thomas, you and I passed each other a lot in other times at these mastermind events, and there wasn't a connection there. But once we had the running connection, it just, the core values are the same. And I think this is important for people to know, is just like, once you can make those connections, you probably understand that core values are the same, especially if you're an ultra runner, you're kind of nuts. So you start making these connections, just a lot easier to talk and get to know each other, right? And then once you get to running together, you can really bond. And I think I'm glad I wore that hat.
Yeah, I laugh because if the word crazy and, let's just say crazy and Brady go like hand in hand, it's a synonymous, right? I love talking to people that like crazy Tom, crazy Brady, crazy whoever, right? It's just like, I think is what it is most people don't understand what's possible. And I think that's one of the greatest things is like, once you do that, and what I've learned over time through the physicality and the challenge is this limited mindset that we all have. And early on in my ultra days, I'd be running and somebody's like, oh, I run too. I'm like, oh, great. How far do you run? They're like, oh, only 3 miles. That's like a warm up for you, right? And I'm like, no, that's a long way. You should be super proud of yourself for doing 3 miles because that's a freaking long way. And then you get down this road of doing ultras, and before you know it, you're out and you're like, I'm going to go for a 10-mile run. I'm going to go for a 15-mile run. I'm going to go, it's limitless. And to the normal world, they think that's crazy. But once you get into that, it's normal. Now, I did back off on my running a bit. So when we met back in the Bahamas, I hadn't been running. So you're training for a 50-miler. So you're hitting these massive miles every week, every day actually. And you're like, hey, we're going to go for 6 miles. And I'm like, okay, 6 miles, cool. I think actually I thought 3 miles originally. You're like, let's just go for another 3. I'm like, okay, It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. We don't just go 3 miles. Come on.
Yeah. And that's what's funny is I have a buddy at the gym that I go to, and we do this hard ass workout. And then at the end of the workout, he asks the question. He's like, are we going to run? Or are you going to run? He says. And I said, you asked the question wrong. Like it doesn't matter. It's like, we're running. Like, we're going to do this. If you're doing it, we're doing it. We're doing it together. It's just done. So that's pretty awesome. So
that's sweet.
Tell me, how do you have time to train, dude? You've got a million things going on. We're going to dive deep into your businesses and the things that you're doing. But how do you have time for training, family, and everything? Because everybody is like, he must have 48 hours a day to do all this stuff. Because 24 hours is not enough.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it comes down to priorities. I don't watch TV. I try to stay off of social media. I obviously use social media for business, and I find myself distracted using it often. But I block time in my calendar for my priorities, and so whether that's family, my business, the hard shit I hate doing in my business that has to get done, and then of course fitness, right? So, utilizing the calendar is just like the hack. But I'd say where I find the time is starting, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. Right. And so before when I was working on my mindset and to get in the habit of doing the training, because it wasn't just naturally something I wanted to do.
Sure.
Or it was easy for me to do. I always did my training first thing in the morning. That way there was no excuses later in the day that I couldn't find time. But now I realized, I built a mindset that I understand that the fitness is so impertinent to the rest of my life. It's not for the fitness, it's for my mindset. And so I know I have to do it, and I'm so dedicated to doing it. Doesn't matter when I do it now, I will get it done before I go to bed. So now, I still wake up at 4:30. I do my most important things first thing in the morning where I need clarity, those first 2 or 3 hours, and then I'll jam it in sometime throughout the day. It's just, but it wasn't always like that. It was hard at the start.
Oh, absolutely. It's so funny because you talk about like having the discipline to get it in. Initially, you had to create the habit of doing it. And then once you start getting to a certain point with the mindset, it doesn't matter. And I think I talked to you about doing the calendar challenge that I had done a couple times. The calendar challenge is running the distance of the day. So day 1, you run 1 mile. Day 20, you run 20 miles. Day 21, you run 21. And overall, it's like 496 miles in the course of a normal month. Now, the thing that totally sucks about that is day 1 is easy. You're like a mile, sweet, done. Day 5, get a little harder. Day 10, holy crap. And then the reality sets in when you hit 20, because you know that you just did 20, and tomorrow you got to do 21 miles.
Oh my, yeah, dude. I've never even heard of this until I met you. Just to let you know, everybody who's watching, that's how nuts he is.
Well, but the problem is you'd get through your day, and honestly, you'd get to a point where you'd kind of chunk it out throughout the day. So there was times that I was just so busy throughout the day. It's now like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I have to hit these miles. And the way that I would work the calendar, as long as I started it in that day, it was a completion till the end. So there was days like on day 26 that I had maybe hit 6 miles in the morning, and then I had my busy day, and now I had 20 miles to run. It's 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and I had to go do a 20-mile run starting at 11 o'clock, and I'd finish and I'd get back, and at that point, you're not going fast, man. You're tired. Like you're exhausted, and I'd finish up at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'd roll into bed, and then I'm like, shit, I got to do this crap again tomorrow.
Like 15 hours.
Oh my God. And then
20 hours.
And then but at the end of the month, just finishing, just like knowing that you accomplished this, like there's no fanfare, there's nothing. Like my wife would be like, hey, good job, you finished. She's like, I knew you could do it. And it's like, woo, But it's crazy stuff, man.
But like, how much does that improve your mindset? And like, I don't know, I'm not interviewing you, but why don't you ask, like, to me, that had to change your life somehow.
It changed my life in so many ways. The physicality, the challenge. You feel better because you feel stronger, you feel good about all these things, but just the accomplishment of actually starting something that's inherently really, really hard and completing it and going through the whole process and just getting through that process is just absolutely amazing. And as far as mindset, I really believe that I can accomplish anything. I'm not crazy where I feel like I can fly or any of that stuff, right? Like jump off a building and fly. Like I'm not crazy like that, but I'm like...
Go see the Titanic.
Yeah, not yet at least. But
sorry, that was a bad joke.
but I think the mindset that you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to, like business now is unlimited, like what is possible, right? Like before you were limited, like, oh, I can only do this. And now all of a sudden you're like, well, dude, why can't we build a $1 billion corporation? Why can't we do this next thing? Why can't we have a private jet, in a certain amount with enough time and enough work and getting around the right people and then putting things together, like anything is possible.
Yeah, 100%. I always relate back to this story because like many times in my life, I've been in positions where I just didn't know what was possible. I didn't know what was next. Like when I take you all the way back to 17, I lost my license drinking and driving when I was 16. My parents said, "Kid, you're going to college." So the most successful people my parents knew were these forest firefighter uncles up in like Northern Ontario. And so they said, you go to school, you like to be outdoors, go to school for forestry. Right? Because that was perspective. That's what we thought as like, this is the holy grail. This is all that's possible. So go there. And when I thought my perspective, when I went to college, I'm like, okay, my goal is to make $50,000 a year because my parents are happy, right? They have a happy, they're there's food on the table that we have, we do things and like they're living a happy life, right? That was my perspective. And then once you realize, I met a guy that he worked for this company called Hydro One. And he had to bring in a full case of beer in a brand new truck all the time, right? And he's making $130,000 a year. And so I was 17 at the time, and I'm like, okay, that's the new perspective. That's now I know that that's possible. So how do I get that, right? And it's just like boom, just focus, laser focus. And I think that's really why we need to. And I got that obviously. I got that job like 3 months later, and that kind of. But that's always been my mindset is. How I got into real estate was the same way. We were looking for something more at 12 years into my career. And there's a bit of a backstory behind that. I was about to get fired because I told some kid to come down. Well, he needed to take a shit. I just told him to take a shit in the bush. Like my wife would. Yeah. Apparently that didn't go very well. But so I started looking at what was next. And we met a guy who was a full-time real estate investor. and he had 65 properties, bought 15 of them that year. It was just June, so he bought 15 in like what, 6 months.
Yeah.
And I just said to myself again, that just blew my perspective open. It's just like, if that's possible, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Right. And again, so like time and time again, I'm seeing what you guys are doing, what the people in the boardroom are doing, and it's just literally, all of a sudden the jet becomes possible, the $1 billion portfolio becomes possible, the running. I never thought in my freaking mind I would run 50 miles. Guaranteed, I would tell you, I would bet $1 bazillion that I would never run 100 miles. But again,
So what race are we doing? When are we doing the 100-mile race, dude?
All right, I got news for you.
All right. What are we doing?
Want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
So this brand here is mine.
Yeah.
We came up with it just more recently because this is kind of like, this is my mindset, the 0 to 100 mindset. And you have the same one. It's how fast we move. It's how all in we are, right? It's like the 100 is our goal, our aspirations, our journey, the big distance, right? And what we're really trying to accomplish. And it's just like how fast and how all in we are. And, but I just ran this 50-mile run, and I said to my coach, I'm like, when I want to run either 100 miles or I want to do a full Ironman, okay, because I've done halves. And he's like, no, we're looking at some dates and looking at this one race in October, and he's like, no, you're gonna have to push it till next year. I'm like, there's no friggin' way in hell I'm pushing it like this. I'm on it. I'm going 0 to 100, baby. Like, woo! Fast. Like, dude, it's next.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not fucking settling for this. So anyway, then I was in Puerto Rico, and we're working on our business, and I'm really like, my mindset's changed like drastically over the last 12 months. It's like gone on fire.
Yeah.
And when I came up with this 0 to 100, it really like lit a fire into my ass. And I said to my coach, I sent him a message, idea. I said, what if I run 100 miles? And I raise $1,000 per mile and I donate to charity. And I want to do it on October 17th or 18th at the Running Man Festival. So Running Man, if you don't know, is that hat that Thomas has got on the table there, the All Day Running Company, is one of, like, Jesse Itzler is, he's an ultra man, ultra runner. He's at 100 miles.
Legit badass. In every
legit
aspect.
badass entrepreneur, just an amazing human. A lot of my mindset I've got, like, he inspired me to do this. But so they're doing this 3-day event called Running Man. And I just thought, what a perfect place to do it, right? So they've got a 1-mile track, and there's going to be like thousands of people there. And, we're obviously going to be there. So that'd be even awesomer. Thomas, are you coming?
Let's do it. I'm doing it.
Yeah, I think I sent you the link. So,
okay.
And they're going to have like the world's largest sauna. They're going to have ice baths. There's going to be music, DJs, like massive speakers. And anyway, then they're going to have 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon, 50K. And they're going to let me run 100 miles there. And I'm going to raise $1,000 per mile. So we're trying to determine the charity in the United States, but I've got a charity in Canada that I've raised lots of money for that helps kids with physical disabilities. Awesome. And I personally believe
put me down for 1,000. Put me down for 1,000. I'll 1,000.
I already got you down for $2,000.
All right, $2,000.
Yeah. So yeah, that's when I'm running the 100 miles.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Yeah. 100 miles. Let's do it.
I know. And then we need to do one together too.
Can we do a 0 to 100 belt buckle? So when you finish it, we need to get you one.
100%.
Yeah.
Right here. We'll use this as the belt buckle.
That's the belt buckle, because at 100 miles you get a belt buckle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is going to be it. I'm going to get belt buckles for everybody that does something amazing like that.
100 miles. 100 miles. Yep, absolutely. 0 to 100. Awesome.
Yeah, baby.
So that's going to be October 17th?
Yeah, the festival is 17th, 18th, 19th. So I don't, I'm not an owner in the company, but I'm a huge supporter. They're my friends. But yeah, so I would check it out, alldayrunningcompany.com, I believe, alldayrunningco.com. It's going to be sweet.
That's going to be awesome, man, for sure. That'll be very cool. So how do you balance family? Because you got 2 beautiful daughters. You got a beautiful wife. Like, you've got all these things, and you've got these huge goals of what you want to accomplish. And you just said in the last 12 months your mindset shifted. Like, how do you balance it all? And I love that your daughters, go out and do these crazy things with you now too. So when we were in Scottsdale, when we did the Camelback Mountain.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. Yeah, we hiked to the top of the mountain. Yeah, so my wife would probably say that it's not very well balanced, but
Mine too.
you know what? Like I work from home, so I do travel a lot, but it's not like I don't like. Again, I'm not like drinking with the guys. I'm not watching TV. I don't play golf. There's really nothing else that takes me away from the house besides business and doing these events and training, obviously training, right? Is definitely spends a lot of time away. But the way that I contribute, so I talked about this actually this morning. I think I made a post about it this morning, is that a lot of people think about giving their kids value and spending time with their kids, which is like driving them to soccer, driving them to hockey, karate, you name it, whatever. Basically, and that's what we need to do, right? To be good parents is do these types of things. Where in fact, when we do that, we're just Ubers, in my opinion. So, and that's not quality time. Yeah. So what I personally do to hopefully, make sure that my kids, are getting value out of me is that we do one-on-one time. So like, for example, 2 days ago, I took Kylie to Lauderdale, just her and I, right? And, I try to be, as present as possible. Obviously there's still business and stuff that happens, but when we're out for dinner, it's like, I keep the phone off and, we'll spend some time on the beach together, but it's just one-on-one time, right? So that's one thing. So really just trying to, play with them because that's what they want. One of the things that Christy and I did with Kylie is have a boardroom meeting with her and then say like, how could mom and dad make things better for you? What does Kylie want? And she said, I just want you guys to play with me. Right. And then it's just like, it kind of sunk our heart a little bit. We're like, damn, right? Like all these kids want is just our attention.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? The kid doesn't want more shit.
No.
The kid doesn't, they just want us to put the damn phone down, right? And play with her. Right. So, that's ultimately what I try to do, whether it's just an hour, half hour, doing one-on-one time with them. So then there's that. But then also I think when you're doing these long races and the endurance stuff, in my personal opinion, like it's a family event. So we will set a holiday around it. So we'll do whether it was Keys 50 or Ironman in Puerto Rico or Cozumel. And it's a family vacation. And then they all partake. They come to every race that we do. And then, because then you're teaching them by showing. Kids learn by watching us, right? Yeah, they don't learn by us telling them crap.
No.
And so, I really realize that. I've seen it because I've seen Kylie, like I'm trying to tell her to run and ask her to run. And then I see her watch these other kids run, or I just put her in the right environment. And then she starts to become a runner, right?
Yeah.
So that again is just, it's like, that's how they learn. So just trying to get them into the community as much as possible and being with us, watching us do this hard shit is more important than anything else.
No. And I noticed that about you is one of the things is, just being with you, that you have your phone typically on silent, right? Or on do not disturb. So you're not necessarily like most people are always like looking at the phone. So your focus and attention is 100% on whatever you're focused on at that moment in time, whether it's your family, whether it's business, whether it's something else. And what's beautiful about that, and that's what I'm trying to learn, is not to be tied to that phone where that and the person on the other end is controlling me, right? Because that's what we all do, is we're controlled by somebody else. When they want us, they call, we answer, we're tied to that.
Right.
You took control, and I noticed that early on. I was like, kind of at first I was like, hey, we're gonna meet up, and I text you, and like no response, and I was like, and he's like, because I see that it's on do not disturb. Right. And you're like, hey, sorry, man, I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. I just saw your message, and we'll get together when we get together. But you're not being controlled by that, and I think that's very important. So if anyone wants to be a better parent, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, first and foremost, right? Don't be where the other person is controlling you. Like if you want to be controlled by the kids, I guess, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, awesome. It's just being reactive, right? I mean, I personally don't need any more distractions. Like a friggin' squirrel runs by and I'm out there and running after it down the road, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, I most of the time, almost all the time, my phone's on silent, right? And because if somebody needs me, like if say an investor calls me or somebody needs me, and if it's not scheduled time, then it's a complete distraction. If you need me, you message me or email me, we schedule a call, and then we do that, and also give me context as to what you're talking about, you want to talk about.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And then we can actually, accomplish whatever it is that you need me for, right? But I think that's just one of the things that I've implemented, and yeah, it definitely helps me because I've got an attention span.
Absolutely. So what I would like to do is kind of change things a little bit, is talk about, so we kind of understand your mindset, how you're accomplishing these things. Now, we were in Scottsdale. I don't even remember the date now because it seems like it was like a year ago, but what you've accomplished in that time. So we leave Scottsdale, and your race was the following Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, I feel like it was like
what day was the race?
After.
What
it
day
was on May 20th.
May 20th was the race, the 100 mile or the 50 miler, and that was from Marathon, Florida to the Keys, self-supported. So there was no like aid stations or anything else. This is just you, your mind. Thank God you had your family as the cheerleaders, and a suffer fest for basically, how long did this take you to do this?
So yeah, it was like 10 and a half hours. I should know the exact time, but I think it was like somewhere around 10 hours and 38 minutes.
What was the hottest temperature of the day there?
109 Fahrenheit.
109.
Yeah,
and
that's what it felt like anyway.
So you start the day. Tell us about that. Like I've started many races in the morning, and you take off and you're going in the kind of a group of people, and you have this like anxiety. You're like, holy shit! Like I've got 49 more miles to go or whatever.
Oh,
it's
dude.
Like, it's a total mind screw.
I didn't know what I was getting into, to be honest, because I've never ran further than 32 miles was the training day. So and I suck at running in the heat.
Yeah.
So my coach, I have a fitness coach. I definitely don't do this alone because I probably just wouldn't do it. But so I got my fitness coach the day before. The coach said, "Okay, give me your race. Like, what are you going to do the day before? What is your race plan for that day? And like for fuel, hydration, pace. What happens if you get, your mind gets all like in the pain hole, which it's going to happen. It's inevitable. But what are you going to do? What's your plan?" Anyway, so I had this plan when I went into it. And the one thing about this race, they started at 9:00. Okay, so 9:00 in Florida Keys, it was already like 85 degrees.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when I said it was 109 degrees, that's what it felt like. It was like 85 degree humidity. So so we started out at 9, and so my thought was when I was going into this that I would run a 10-minute mile pace because that's how I trained, and then if it was too hot, which I figured was going to happen, I would run 8 and walk 2 because I trained a couple times like that, just to test it out. And my heart rate would come down during those 2-minute miles. I realized really quickly that like, holy shit, this is way hotter than, I can't run 8 minutes, just period, like without my brain blowing off my head.
Yeah.
So I ended up, so you run 3, you get to a change space, an aid station. This is the only aid station because they didn't want your crew aiding you right before the 7-mile bridge. So I drank like 1.5 liters almost of water in 3 miles, the first 3 miles. I'm like, holy shit, I got to cross this. The next gap was the 7-mile bridge. So by the time I got across the bridge, I ran the whole thing. I was boiling internally. And so the next 7 miles after that were living hell to me. And I didn't really know what I was going to do or how I wasn't really thinking far enough out that I knew I had to figure this out because I was frustrated as hell because I couldn't cool down.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, I had ice bag, I had 2 bags of ice, and I had these towels over my shoulders, and I'm running and I'm just frustrated, and I couldn't figure it out. It took me 7 miles. And then I said, okay, something has to change. Something has to change because I'm a firm believer in this. Like if you're doing something and getting the results you don't want consistently, then something has to change. Right. Sure. And this is what I said myself. I said, okay. So I went to the aid station where my wife is there, and they've got these bags of ice. I said, 1 bag of ice, 1 towel. And I literally did this. So I ran 4 minutes. I walked for 1 minute. So it was still the same 8 and 2, just broken down.
Sure.
And during that 1 minute, I'd literally take the bag of ice off my neck, stick it down my crotch because that would really cool. There's a big artery down there. It would cool for 45 seconds, take it, dump it all over my head, stick it back behind my neck. And I did that literally on repeat. And it was just like a machine. My heart rate couldn't get too high because I was only running for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was going like a 12-minute mile pace on average. And that's all it was, man. I mean, it wasn't, I just went into the zone and I could have kept going.
Yeah, what's crazy is all the stuff that's going on. Like, you know, it's so funny because that self-talk, what's going on in your brain, like most people just see it as you going out and running 50 miles or, you know, the next one's going to be 100 miles. But there's so many things that are happening at that time in the self-talk because you start negotiating with yourself. You're like, okay, if I get to this, okay, will I be okay? And then you have to take that negative thought, like no negotiations, I'm finishing this. It's the craziest stuff. Like if you could see what's going on in your head, people are like, this dude's freaking crazy. Like it's like nuts what's going on at that time, right? It's crazy stuff for sure. So and you're like, why am I doing this? Like this is brutal. But you get through. You're now at getting close. You know, you finish the race. You think that you came in a certain...
Yeah. So I'll even back up a little bit more. So like I run into like Key West, right? So I do this going on and on. It's 10 hours later, and then now I'm in the last like little stretch, like the last mile, literally. And this is where there's a couple turns, and you got to go through Key West.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got lost. I don't, and this is where the lack of sodium was starting to kick in. And if you get lack of sodium, which I mean everybody does at this point, you start to go a little delirious, not really pay attention, not really know where you are. And I got lost in town. So I was literally like, hey, do you know where the finish line is? Do you know where the race ends? And like people are like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you psycho? Right? Yeah. Anyway, so I finally find my way back. And so I ended up running 51 miles and crossed the finish line. And I was just like, you know, I was just done. And I didn't drink anything. I just went right in the car. I literally laid in the back of our expedition like this, you know, hat off, just like basically like in the fetal position. And, you know, Christy's like they're trying to figure out what position I was in. And 2 hours later, they said, okay, well, you came in third place. I'm like, wow, that's freaking amazing. Yeah. So I walked out, I don't have a shirt on. I'm like hobbling over and I don't have sandals on or anything. I'm just like sit and like hold this little award. And that's great. And then, and then Christy took me to the rental property that we had. And she was starting to get worried because I was delirious. Like I wasn't really thinking for myself, my brain, because of the lack of sodium. And, you know, she's trying to give me electrolytes and food. And then I got sick. And then and I'm like, I couldn't control the situation because of the lack of sodium. So she was getting really freaked out. And then she ended up putting me in, she's like, and then I got sick. She's like, okay, we're going to the hospital. And I didn't say no, which probably really freaked her out. And so get back in the car, right? And I'm horizontal in the expedition. And she's driving back towards Marathon, Florida, and you hit the 7 Mile Bridge. And there's a tent set up on the side of the road because the 100 mile guys and ladies are still running. Like they're out there just halfway through. Yeah. And so they're there and there's an ambulance there. And so Christy pulls over and like gets out in the ambulance, like, no, you can't park here. She's like, oh, my husband's in really bad shape. So they come over, look at me, and they're like I didn't even know my name. And they're like, yeah. So they grab the stretcher, take me, throw me in the ambulance, and take me back, to the hospital in Marathon, where they're like, I didn't even know my kids' names at this point.
Oh wow.
Apparently I thought I was in Canada, and one thing led to another. They did a bunch of tests. I was there for about 3 hours. They were still really worried about rhabdomyolysis, which is where the proteins break down. You probably had it 100 times. And which is a common thing. Yeah. Like, so then they took me from there to Miami. I was doing more tests. They scanned my brain. They scanned my heart. Like this is anyway. I'll tell the bill at the very end. I'll tell you what that was. But anyway, so I ended up being in the hospital for 3 days. They finally got the electrolytes and stuff under control the following morning. So probably at about like 10 or 11 a.m. the next day. And the first thing I did was wake up and say, honey, I came in first place, not third. She was so pissed. She's like, you're not running ever again, you mother effer. And yeah, so that was that. And so yeah, we were in there for 3 days, and
You texted me the photo of you in the hospital bed, and what did I
yeah.
tell you? Because then Christy's like, you need not to hang out with those people.
Exactly. Oh, dude, and I don't know if it was you or I called one of our other buddies, another Tom,
Yeah,
right? And he's like, "Well, what did you think was going to happen?"
yeah,
He's like, "This is normal."
yeah.
Like,
And then you talked to him first, and then you talked to me, and I was like, dude, like, yeah, like, but you didn't die, so you're good. And like, what's
yeah,
the
you're
next
good,
thing?
right? I'm like, "Yeah, but my wife might fucking kill me."
Oh my God. So
So,
you lived, but did you die? Like, no, I didn't die. All right. So now you've done this. You guys are in the process of selling a home in Canada, right? So
yeah.
don't you have to take off to Canada? Don't you do
Yeah,
something
so
like
well,
that?
we were supposed to take off to Canada the next day, so I was obviously in the hospital, so I couldn't do that. So we were a few days delayed. I ended up not flying, driving to Canada. We moved our house, and well, in the process of being at the hospital, the doctors determined that I've got this abnormality in my heart, and so that it's a birth defect, meaning, and it's where your two sides of your heart are kind of lopsided. They're
Yeah.
not not like parallel to each other, and it leaves your tricuspid valve open, which gives you low blood pressure and low oxygenated blood, which is like a problem.
Yeah.
And so they said, you can't run, you can't do anything, right? And I'm going, like, you mean like anything? I can't like work out, like do anything? I'm gonna go freaking crazy here. They said, well, you can go golfing. I'm like, okay. So of course, like again, 0 to 100 mindset. I'm like, I gotta solve this problem. And if you know anything about the Canadian healthcare system, you'll die on the waiting list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm serious. I'd probably be waiting for this for 6 to 8 months to get this sorted out. So I called a cardiologist in Florida. I was very fortunate to get in and do a virtual appointment. He gave me clearance within a week and a half. So we were back in Canada at this point, but I just paid him to look at all my records, and he gave me the clearance because, of course, we had the next big thing to do, Thomas.
Yeah. What's the next? Okay. So you finish the race. You want to die. You don't die. You take off to Canada. You get the tests done. This is like less than a week and a half into this deal.
Yeah, and we moved our house. So we sold a house. We moved our house.
Yeah, you
That was
moved from Canada, moved all your stuff back to Florida, and now you've got to be prepared because in a couple more days you're going to go do what?
Yeah, so my wife said, first off, my wife says, you're not doing anything. You're not allowed to run ever again. She's so pissed. She still isn't really giving me permission to run the 100 miles. But but my big thing was like, I paid $5,000 to do this like event of a lifetime called 29029, which is like a Mount Everest simulation climb. And I'm like, this is why there was an urgency. I needed to get clearance so I could climb 29,000 vertical feet 2 weeks after being in the hospital for 3 days. So ultimately,
Remember I said crazy and Brady. That's crazy Brady, right? That's awesome. Okay, now we've finished the 50 miler. We've moved. We've gotten clearance. Now you're on a plane and you're flying to Idaho.
Idaho, yeah, and so Idaho is amazing. If you guys honestly, you guys need to check this event out. For me, what it was, like a lot of people, it's a fitness thing. Like, no, like when I signed up for this, I'll tell you this. When I signed up for this would have been extremely hard. I wasn't like insanely crazy like I am now. I've had a really fast transformation of my mindset and my fitness.
Yes.
But so when I went to this, there's people of all ages and sizes. There's people that are this big, and then there's people, that are way more fit than me. And so, but it's a transformation. Like you got to go up and down this mountain, and I think it was 15 times. So you go up the mountain, you get in the gondola, you come back down, you do this over 24 to 36 hours. So we spent 24 hours on the mountain doing this, and I was very fortunate enough to meet through my coach, my fitness coach, 3 guys that had just finished 7X, which is 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. And so, I was just like, I can't believe I'm meeting these guys. Yeah. And I'm like, and they probably thought like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not letting these motherfuckers in my sight. Like these are the baddest people. Like these are the people I want to surround myself with. And,
Sure.
and I'm extremely intentional about who I'm surrounding myself with these days.
Absolutely.
And I think that I wasn't always like that, And I think that's one of the things that has slowed my progression down in all aspects of my life. So now I'm really intentional. And yeah, we climbed it together. And we weren't in a rush. We did it together. We enjoyed the time, and like everybody had a decent level of fitness, but we really bonded. And like you met and saw people on the hill struggling, and we were motivating them and cheering them on and helping them and guiding them. And like it was a community of awesomeness. And I think for some people, they really find themselves on there and really teach themselves. This is where they learn that they can do hard shit. And they do this for themselves. They do it for their family. They do it for their grandmas and grandpas out there that are doing it for their grandkids. To prove to them what it looks like to do hard work and that grandma can do this shit.
Yeah,
right.
No, absolutely.
Be a leader 100%. In the family.
Absolutely, and that's going to be the most important thing that I think that we're going to get from today is like everything is all in your head, right? Everything, 100%. Like every story you tell yourself. If you tell yourself you can't, you're 100% right. If you tell yourself you can, you just have to do the work to get to that point, right? So now you have the equivalent of Mount Everest in how many hours?
We went to bed for like 6 hours, but it was 24 hours.
That's crazy, man. And this was basically 2 weeks after.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so you run 50 miles, you almost die, you get to Canada, you move the family back to U.S., you get on a plane, you go do Everest, now you're done and you take off you don't go home.
Well, no, I wasn't going home because like when I was in Iowa, is that where I was? Iowa?
Idaho.
Idaho. So when I was there, I was in my room and I had this call with my original, actually, this guy's changed my life. His name's Michael Reese. And I give him huge props. He was actually, again, perspective. When we talk about like, I thought I was doing really good in Canada with this big ass portfolio and I thought I was going to scale. Then I met this guy, Michael. He was the first person I'd ever met from the United States, and spent time around. And he was the most successful person I'd ever met. And I hired him as a business coach. And then I ended up becoming really good friends with him. And so I was on this call with him because I was trying to solve a particular problem, raising capital using IRA money. And not a problem, just trying to like create systems and help, investors invest in self-storage and use their IRA, right? Instead of not making money in the stock market or wherever those monies are. Sure. And so I was talking to him about this idea. And he's like, dude, you know what? We really just need to get together because there's more to it. It's like there's like there's more to doing. We could just solve problems, or we can make sure that what we're actually doing is accomplishing the big vision. Okay. And he's like, I honestly feel like we need to get together. I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing next week? He's like, actually, next week's the only week that I've got free until like for the next 8. I'm like, all right. I messaged Christy. I said, what are we doing next week? She's like, well, you don't need to be home if that's what you're asking. And I'm super thankful for Christy. I wouldn't be asking this for no reason. I'm not going to just go to Puerto Rico to hang out.
Sure.
And so that's, Michael's like, and that's action. I mean, that's 0 to 100. That's just like, there's intent, there's reason going, and it's just, we're going to do it now versus later, because often later becomes never. Sure. Right. So
absolutely. 100%. And
so I just went and, I mean, that's why, I'm wearing this. Like from that 1 week, it was like he treated me like I was his coaching student again. And he did this on purpose because that's how he thinks. And he could have just given me all the answers to what I was trying to do, but that's not overly beneficial, right? So he treated me like a coaching client and I had to put in the work. And I literally went through this. I mean, we're getting off topic here, but I went through some of his content just to really figure out what is the big vision and what's the mission and what's the messaging, right? And what I've really realized over the last year is I've been figuring out this. Yeah. Like the reason I've had success and the reason why I'm so freaking passionate about fitness, mindset, taking massive action, community is because of...
It's changed your life. In just 12 months, you've changed your life. Your whole trajectory has changed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you didn't just jump on a Zoom and do this. Like you literally jumped on a plane and where did you go? Right after Idaho?
Puerto Rico. Yeah.
So you jumped on a plane and went to Puerto Rico, and you spent this time learning the next thing for your business, because it's not just about the physicality. It's about you building your business, your mindset, your family, everything, right?
And the community.
And the
right?
community.
Because I feel like I seriously feel 1000% that my messaging is really good. And but I didn't have there wasn't I didn't really have the message. Like the messaging was good, but there was nothing, like no brand to it. There's no substance, not something that somebody else could wear and feel proud of and follow, right? I didn't have a name to it, but now I do.
Yeah.
And I am like all in. And I hope people can resonate with the 0 to 100 because it is a mindset, but it's a community, right? That's really what I think is going to be powerful. Is like getting, doing hard things is great. It's very rarely is it ever done by yourself.
Sure. Absolutely not.
And so I think that's, I don't know, all this shit was born like in that 1 week in Puerto Rico.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yes.
So, so now here you are today. You're here. What's going to happen for Brady? What's going to happen in the next 12 months? Because everything you've done in the past is the past. Those are great stories and everything. But what are you going to do now? What's the big future?
Yeah, so
Obviously,
I'm on a
October
really-
17th. October 17th.
So there's that, October 17th. So I decided, I'm only going to have one first, running 100 miles the very first time once.
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to put a dent in this world and try to do some help. So that's why I said, okay, well, I'm going to raise $1,000. I personally think that I'm going to raise $200,000 for that one race.
Okay.
And I'm going to donate it all to charity. So there's that. But then I was also thinking, like, I'm so confident in the messaging and I know that it's changing people's lives because I'm getting messages every other day from the content that I'm putting on social media.
Sure.
That I also am on a war path, and I'm working on this right now. In the same amount of time that I'm going to raise that money for the run, I'm working on this. I don't know if you can tell me if this is stupid or not, but for every follower I get over the next 3.5 months, I'm going to donate $1 to charity, and my goal is to hit $100,000.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Nice.
So I personally, my wife and I am going to donate $1,000 or $1 per follower up to 100 grand in the next 3.5 months. And for a couple of reasons, because I know the messaging is good and it's changing lives. So if I can change, 10 times more amount of lives, that makes sense. But then we also have a goal on our vision board to donate $1 million. And this is going to get me 1/10 of the way there.
Awesome.
Right. So that's what I'm working on. I mean, we got a bunch of self-storage deals and a bunch of real estate that, there's all that other kind of stuff going on, but this is my passion project.
Yeah, no, that's the stuff you do to pay the bills and put food on the table. But how you get there and the mindset and how you scale are other things because, those they're complex, but it's a system that you follow. And as long as you have the mindset, you can get there. You'll figure it out. You'll be creative enough to come up with the solutions to get there, right? And it's a math equation at that point, right? That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The real estate is very again, it's systems and business and process and built teams, right?
Yep.
And what I realized is that, and focus, but what I realized is that it just always goes back to mindset for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, I feel like I beat the dead horse about it, but you can stay a lot more focused and you'll have a lot more success in business when you've got this thing figured out. For me, the real estate part's easy. Oh, this is actually another thing that I'm going to do because one thing that I realized, and this is what Michael and this is going to help people too. If you want to invest in real estate. So one thing that I found that really changed my life was starting to invest in real estate. That one conversation with that one person, right, that exposed the opportunity that because he had 65 properties, he was a full-time real estate investor, but the 0 to 100 mindset that said, hey, if he can do it, I can do it too. And then what I literally did, this is the only thing that I did. I literally read one book. I learned the basics of real estate investing, and then I took 80%, I took action, right? And so I think a lot of people, the path for financial independence gets really caught up in over educating themselves on real estate investing.
Sure.
And under actionating. It's not even a word, but I feel like
we'll make it a word now. Under actioning. We'll write that down.
Under actioning.
Under actioning. Hashtag under actioning. Don't.
I feel like they go 80% education and 20% action. It's got to go the other way around.
Oh,
you just
100%.
need
Yeah.
basics and just start. The art is in the start, right? The time is now. 0 to 100. Let's go. right? So that's really, I'm going to create a massive, my goal is to create a big community. I just started a Facebook group, and just to teach people how to start and really give them the tools, not just the education, because the education is fluff in my opinion, but like the tools to actually, build the team. First starts with a vision. Number one, if you don't have a vision, don't even look for financing because you're wasting your damn time. Right.
Yeah.
So I think like I've really figured it out. It's like without the vision, people asking like, oh, I'll ask people, hey, what is holding you back from starting in real estate? They're like, oh, well, we can't find the deal and the financing, all the shit. It's like, no, you don't even know why you're trying to do this shit.
Yeah.
Let's go back and create the vision board. Here is the hack to start your vision board. You do this, right? And you send it to me. I'm going to give you the patch that said you got your vision board done. It's a 0100 gold patch. Send it to your house. Okay, now let's go. Next step is, okay, then we need to learn about the strategies, pick a strategy. Okay, that's the next thing. There's a step in that, right? And then the next thing is, building your team of professionals, right? Like none of this is rocket science, but like people just don't do it. They keep educating beyond it and don't do the step.
Yeah.
If they do the step and then get to the offer point and make 10 offers for every deal, they'll get the deal. And then now we're talking, right? Now we've gotten to a point where we're actually taking action. And then I think the rest is easy, right? And so that's really like the other thing that I'm really helping. It's just, I feel like I'm going to change more lives by helping people start investing in real estate versus scaling it, which was my focus before, was helping people scale.
That's awesome, man. Like total inspiration. I see your stuff and I'm like, man, I'm not, I see your social media posts and I'm like, I get inspired, like, okay, I got to go out and they're like, what's the next race? What's the next thing? I see these big deals that you're doing in business. What's the next thing? And it's really about being around those people. You want to be the sum of the net 5 people that you're hanging out with. And I want to be around people that are doing big things because I want to do big things. And
Yeah.
it's I mean, to a certain degree, it's a competitive nature too of us. We want to do these, but we also want to. It just makes you feel good. Like just don't quit. I think that's the key. Is just don't quit. Just keep moving forward. Take big action. Man, most people just quit too early. It's just like you're so close. It's just like
they quit right before, before they get right before they cross the finish line.
Oh, 100%, man. And you see it
It's
in
like,
these ultra
you're
races.
gonna run 50 miles and then you're gonna stop. Right?
Oh, I've seen it in every ultra race that I've done, that everyone gets up going, and then when it gets hard, when it gets really hard, these people start dropping like flies, and I think that's so important. So one of the brokers, one of our new brokers in our office, he came on, and before he came on, he's like, Tom, what can I do? Can I hang out with you and learn the business and do all these things? And I said, number one, Cody, like the number one thing you need to do is work on your mindset, and these are the books that you need to read. These are the things you need to do. So he started a goal. He started running a 5K a day. He's now continuously, he's run 158 5Ks every day. He runs that every single day. He closed his second deal in 90 days as a broker. He closed his second deal yesterday. Super proud of this guy.
Freaking right. Congrats, Cody.
Oh yeah, man, it's awesome. So don't quit. Keep moving forward. Set big goals. Go after it. And I think that's the key to success. And get around people that are doing things. Get rid of the negative and start believing in yourself. Right? That's going to be a key.
Yeah, 100%. And what I think that is a mental game changer for people is acknowledge that it's going to be hard and embrace it. Like when you go into something and think, okay, yeah, I'm getting momentum and this is easy, this is fun, this is like I'm having a good time. That's like when things are easy, it's easy. I mean, anybody can do anything that's easy. So I would go into it the mindset and say, okay, shit's about to get real hard at some point.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Or I'm going to force it to get hard because I'm going to do maybe more than more than the average bear. So I'm going to force it to be hard on purpose because bitch, I can take that thing down.
Yeah.
Right. I'm ready. I do hard shit. Right. And when you just go into it, knowing it's going to be hard, that you can conquer that bitch, there's nothing that can stop you because you're not expecting it to be easy.
Yeah.
When you go, that's the mindset. You just literally, if everybody acknowledges that's 0 to 100, knowing it's going to be hard. The path from 0 to 100 is going to be extremely freaking challenging, but it's going to be worth it.
But
it's the journey, right? And
absolutely.
If you acknowledge that it's going to be hard, it's going to be you're going to have success ultimately.
I think one of the big things that most people do is they overestimate how much they can accomplish in a 12-month period, and they underestimate what they can accomplish in 10. And I think what you were talking about as far as a vision board and having that long-term goal, you said you have a $1 million goal to give away $1 million. Well, to be honest with everyone, like, that's not going to happen in 12 months. That's a longer-term goal, and it might not be your 10-year goal, but it's your 5-year goal. And I think that you have to get real clear about what you're trying to accomplish. And I think visualization is the biggest thing. Your brain doesn't know the difference about what's happening in reality versus what you're envisioning to happen. And it's so funny because when you finished your race and you thought you were in Canada, like, you literally thought you were in Canada. Like, that's your brain telling you you're in Canada. You're physically not there, but you thought you were there. And that's a hack that most people don't understand, that you can actually hack yourself into success. Like, you believe and you can do these things and you've accomplished it. And now before you know it, you have this confidence in going out. And I did that kind of with training when I was doing an Ironman. I would literally run back to my house, and when I was finishing the run, I was high-fiving everybody. And these imaginary people coming around the corner, envisioning my finishing the Ironman. And I did it so many times in my mind that the day that it actually happened, I had been there over and over again, and I knew I could actually accomplish it.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, like, I think, my friend Jesse Itzler says it, talks about this all the time, where, like, the messaging, like, what you say, you give your words power if you say them. Right. So you can, visualization for a vision board is great, but also what you say out loud gives those words power. So,
absolutely.
If you want to trick yourself into, getting through the hard time, you just tell yourself that this shit is easy. Yeah. I'm a fighter. I'm going to do it. Like, it sounds hokey pokey as shit, but like, when you're in those moments and let's just go back to running, right? And Jesse tells this amazing story where it's like, literally, you just keep on telling yourself, I don't get tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. Right. And you can literally trick your brain.
Yeah.
Trick your thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This morning I was actually, one of the things I love is, there's just a little quote from Muhammad Ali is, I'm going to show you how great I am. And that incantation, just saying that on my way to the gym multiple times, I do that on my way. Like, I could be tired as shit. I'm on my way to the gym, and I just start saying stuff like that out loud. And I'll even call my wife, or I'll do a message in the voice message, and I'll send it to my wife. And it'll be like me, like, screaming, I'm going to show you how great I am. And when I go into the gym, man, I'm like 100% pumped. I'm like, let's freaking go, right? Like, let's get it. So
yeah, because those words have energy.
Those words have meaning. They have energy.
So if you're like, oh, I'm tired, or this hurts, or oh, that sucks, like, you're giving those thoughts thoughts power. Where, in your example, like, I fucking got this. I'm gonna crush this. Yeah, like, this workout's my bitch.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Go in there. Let's go.
We have gone through a bunch of stuff, man. I appreciate all your time today. One of the things is, are we still going to do this challenge? No, we're not? Okay. We're not going to do a challenge. We don't have, because we're on camera and we can't, like, change things around. But we're going to do this separately. They had a push-up challenge for us, but we're not going to be doing that today because I don't think we can do that in the studio.
Get on the table. I'll get it, like.
Can you move your camera? We can do that. If we can move this camera, we can do a push-up challenge. We want to do that?
Oh, I can do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. We're going to ultra up.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to ultra up. All right. So we're going to see about moving this camera over here. We have the mic and we're attached.
Good thing I'm wearing shorts. How many push-ups are we doing?
We're doing as many. Oops, we're going to get fixed over here. Sorry. I think the goal is as many as possible in a minute. So we got one minute, and we're going to set a timer. Yasmin, a timer. We're gonna go as many push-ups as possible in 1 minute.
Okay.
I guess we're both in shorts and barefoot here. So, all right. Are we ready? So we're going to say go when we say go. On your marks, get set, go.
Who's counting? 3, 4, 5, 11, 12, 13, 14. Better get your chest down, Thomas.
That's 30 seconds.
That's only 3 seconds.
Now I think we're about done here, man. I don't know what the count is. He's going. Come on, you got to go up more. Come on, I see that. All the way up.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's like, I already did strength right before this call.
I think that was a draw. You're done. Woo. Dude, that was awesome. Whew,
right.
Tired. But you know what? You got to... What's that?
That always changes the energy, too.
Wow.
I love
It's
that.
so funny because the boardroom we go do those push-ups. It's crazy. Now we can't talk, so that's a good way to end the interview today.
Yeah.
So, man, I appreciate you being here. How do people find you?
I'd say Instagram at Brady.McDonald84. Facebook, I'm on there. 0to100.com. I'll have everything there. If you want to donate to the causes, follow me. I'll be giving $1 for your follow. And yeah, I mean, it's all about, for me, it's mindset, helping people crush it in real estate, community, and taking massive action.
That's awesome, man. So just so everybody knows, October 17th, Brady's going to be doing 100 miles. $1,000 per mile is his goal to raise. Give away $100,000 to charity. What's the charity?
So we got two. One in Canada is Easter Seals, and it helps kids with physical disabilities buy their mobility equipment, and takes the kids to camp so kids can be kids. And then we're working on trying to figure out which one it is going to be in the U.S. But it's going to be, I believe it'll be something to do with pets and kids.
Okay.
I've got a couple that I'm working on right now, so just trying to figure it out.
Awesome, man. Well, we're going to put the links up on the video here today so they'll be able to follow you. $1 for every follow that he goes. He's going to hopefully give away $100,000. And dude, keep doing big shit, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in Austin. We'll be in Austin in August.
Yeah, we will.
And I got to start getting in shape so I can keep up with you when we get over there.
That just kicked my ass, man. It was great to see you, Thomas. Great to catch up.
Brother, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And you guys, follow Brady, follow us on social media. But more importantly, in life, you got to ultra up. And that's what we're about. Ultra everything. Give us a follow. Thank you so much for paying attention to and watching us for the last whatever hour it was. But super inspired. I got to go do some big shit now, Brady.
Let's go.
And I got to catch
brother.
my breath too. So there we go. All right, man. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. See you guys.
Hey, everybody. We hope that you enjoyed this last program and this last interview. If you are enjoying the content that we're providing, please follow us. We'd love to thank our guests and our future guests, but we would love for you to subscribe to our channel. So please follow us at the following. You'll see the links below. So ultra everything. That's what we're about. So